All right. So today is Wednesday, the 28th of January, and I'm going to start this a little bit differently. Please correct me if I'm mistaken, but what you should see on your screen right now is what's going to be your MySQL test that's going to be due a week from this Sunday on the 9th of October. All right. I want to go over what's going to be on this test first. Then we're going to go back and finish up the edit page. I'll give you all that stuff today. As always, too, I will take, after I get done with the entire MySQL Books project, I will again upgrade my GitHub, and so the newest will be pushed out there early this afternoon. So this test that I'm asking you to do, all right, I'm just going to go over with you. I don't want to sit and read to you. All right, you will make a new project. I've given you the name and I've told you the pages that are supposed to be in it. They're right there. Now, you'll notice when you look, the rubric is right here. So this is 70 of the 100 points. All right, so 10 points is, did you create a home page? Did it have actual text in it? Did it have some kind of a meaningful image in it? All right, so that's basically, um, how that'll be graded. Same thing with the about page. I don't want lorem ipsum text in there. I want this to actually be something, but I want it to be an extension of you. In other words, if you decide you want your homepage to be filled with a lot of pictures and very little text, that's okay. If you decide you want one image on the homepage and a lot of text, that's okay. And the same kind of thing with the about page. All right. Those pages are just going to be extra pages, so to speak. They're not really filler pages, but to make this appear as more of a real website. All right. The crux and where you're going to do most of the work is going to be on this movies page. You'll notice that each page is an EJS page, and I am expecting that, as you have done all the time for all the projects that we've done this semester, you'll do your NPM init. You will install the stuff I've told you, and I've got it down later on the page. All right. And what we have just done recently, you will add the public folder. You will add a views folder where you will put these 4 files. You will add a partials folder under the views folder where you will make like a head.ejs, a navbar.ejs, a foot.ejs, and anything else that you consider to be relevant that you might want to have on every page. All right. So it says use the following URL. So what I did was I just went out to the Internet Movie Database and I did a search for sports movies. If you decide, I really hate sports movies and you want to do action or something, you can. It's okay. It's not that big a thing, to be honest with you, one way or the other. Okay. So you will create a database that should be called films. All right. And the films database should have one table in it that should be called movies, just like we did a books_DB database and it had a books table in it. So the ideas are similar. All right. I want you to go out to that site, put somewhere around 25 records in it. You can use what's in that URL to determine what fields you want to put into it. Now, let me change my share for just 1 second here. I don't want to be spending a lot of time doing this today, but all right. So if we actually go out to that site, where is it? I thought I had it up. Evidently, I don't anymore. Is that it? No, that's not it either. All right. So these are the 50 top sports movies. Some of them, I mean, you may not want to put in the Karate Kid Part 3, etc. That's up to you. All right. But I mean, at a minimum, I would think what you're going to want to put in here are going to be things like the name of the movie, maybe the running time of the movie, a rating for the movie, and a director. Or, you don't have to put the stars in it. Something, those 4 fields, something like that is sufficient. If you want to put stuff in there I didn't say, like the year the movie was made or whatever, you can do that too. All right. I don't really care, but I want it all basically to fit across one screen, so to speak. All right. And hopefully, if what I'm saying doesn't make sense, I want you to ask. All right. So that's the stuff that's in here. So again, pick out 50 of your favorites, or 25 rather, of your favorite sports movies. And again, as I said, if for some reason you really and truly don't want to use sports, then don't. Then use something else. I'd like it to be a certain genre. All right. So that's the first part. So when you look at this, it says in here, the content must be relevant and should fit onto one screen. And by relevant, I've got two asterisks and I say more in class. It's what I just said. All right. If you really, for instance, if you want to grab a bunch of the different, not all 25, but if you want to grab some of those images that are in the IMDb database and put them on the homepage, you can do that. But when I say the content must be relevant, it should look like a real site. That's why I don't want the lipsum text in there. All right. The home, about, and contact pages, as it says, are new. So this is what you're going to install. And I guess I left NodeMon out of there. If you want to install NodeMon, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. All right. But Express, EJS, MySQL, and body parser and path. All right. Pretty much if you use what we just did on this Books MySQL database, that should be pretty much the same thing. I want you to use Bootstrap 5. Why? Because it looks professional, because it should be responsive then. All right. Again, as mentioned, as we did in class, make a public folder underneath your, what did we say to call this thing? We said to call it movies. So under movies, make a public folder, make a views folder, make sure the views folder has a partials in it, etc. The same stuff that's there. I already mentioned, have some kind of it. If you decide you want a series of images on the homepage, then you don't need a large image. All right, make a series. I don't care. But again, I want this to look like a, quote, real site, unquote. All right. And again, going along with that, as I already mentioned, have actual relevant content in there. I want this to look like a real website. All right. Have some kind of a working contact form. In other words, it should go somewhere. You might make it go out to a thing called verify.js, where you just repeat what the person put in there. All right. You could put a button in there and say, is that okay? You don't have to do anything with it, but just have something along those lines. All right. Again, your movies.ejs page should use the same type of logic that we just had for the books.ejs page. All right. I want you to add a new movie button to the big page that we had that shows everything, probably somewhere near the top. So right now we've got a delete button and we've got an edit button for each page. And we show all the pages. Well, that's everything in CRUD except the C. So it's RUD if you want to say that. So somewhere near the top, put a button. You can say add movie, add new movie, whatever you want it to be called. You decide where it should be placed. But again, it should look professional. All right. The last 30 points, as it says, will be judged on the quality of the site in accordance with everything that was mentioned above. All right. You should make sure to upload this site to GitHub. All right. And next week, we're going to be going into, I already mentioned this, but we're going to be going into MongoDB. All right. And we may end up doing some stuff where we even go and find some external hosting site and put it out there. We'll see. All right. But my question is, and I'm sorry I'm putting you on the spot, John, but you're the only one here. From what I just mentioned here, do you have any questions? Okay. Now, the what I'm going to show you right now is how we can go in and do an update. The problem with the update, the way that it's currently written, it works. That's not a problem. But you have to update every field, and there's except for the ID. And there are 9 fields in there. So that's kind of a pain in the butt to have to do that. But I want to show you this. So again, let me change my share. Go back to the internet here. All right, and find, where is it? And that ain't it. There it is. So there's the home page right now. Again, I've been monkeying around with it, so I've got a bunch of records that aren't here anymore. But let's say that we wanted to redo this. So if you look right now for Node.js the right way, it is record 9. That won't change, but I'm going to change it, not to be funny, but just so you see it. I'm going to change it to Node.js the wrong way. I'm going to change the publisher from, I'm just going to make all of these here a 2. So this will be a 2, this will be a 2, this will be a 2. I'll change it to 2022. This will be a 2, and I'll set up, I don't think I have any no, I don't. I'll make an ISBN that's all 2s as well, just to show you that it's going to work. So I click edit here, it brings this up. So I'm going to say here, node.js the wrong way. Okay, and again, as I mentioned, I'm going to make this a 2, a 2, a 2, 2022. I'll make the category a 2. I'll make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the ISBN, and I'll give it a rating of a 2, and I'll click submit. All right, and you'll notice there it is, Node.js the wrong way, 222 2022. It's all been changed. All right, see if I can go to people here. I don't know if you let them in or not. You did. Good, thank you. So what we just did, Clayton, what you missed, I did it first, and maybe I shouldn't have, but I emailed everybody something about 20 minutes ago with what I want you to do for a test in here. And it's in many ways, it's replicating what we're doing right here with the books. But I want you instead to create your own database called films, put a movies table in it, go out to the IMDb website, and if you don't want to choose sports, that's what I chose. You know, you could have made it action or something like that. All right. As far as the genre goes, and add about 25 records. You decide what belongs in here. I said before, probably at a minimum, you'd want title, director. You may want a rating. You may want a running time. Or you may want a year it was made. You may want a director, but something like that. You know, most of these have got 5 or 6 stars in them. You know, as far as how many people starred in the movie, you don't have to put that in there. All right. And if you want to grab some of the URLs or the images here and put those on your home page, you can do that. Again, however you want to do this. All right. And what I mentioned then next, where you just came in here, was on our program right here. I now have implemented correctly, all right, the edit button. And that's what I just showed. So the delete, if I click that now, the record will be gone. But if I click edit, I'm just going to say how to do node.js the right way. Author, I'll change all these to 4s. 4, 4, 4, not the year. The year will make it 2022. The category will make a 4. The ISBN, make it 10 4s. And I'm going to put in here for the rating, also a 4. And you'll notice, so again, it was how to do Node.js the right way. And if I submit, there it is. All the 4s, everything has been changed. Now, the problem with the way that I have written this, just so you know, the problem with the way that this is currently written, I'm going to show you the code in just a moment, is you have to change everything. In other words, you're basically you're not doing a patch, you're doing a put here where it's replacing everything. So if I come back in here to edit and I just want to change the title to "This is my new title." If I put that in and I click submit, all right, it doesn't change it. It stays the way it was. So it expects it to be every single field to be filled in there. Well, how could you fix that? Well, one way is, and I thought about this after I'd even sent you out the email, and I can send this out again if you're interested. But when we did that employee project, all right, and we looked at that, one of the things that we added in there was our own function that checked to see if there was something. This was something we did inside of Postman, because it's very easy in Postman to go in and do a patch. I don't know if that would work in here or not. All right, but I will send that out just so everybody has a copy of it. I'd like you to try to see if you can do just a partial one. But again, if you only have 4 or 5 fields in here, it's not that terrible a thing. All right, so let's take a look at the actual code that made this happen. And again, as always, what I will do is I will put this final code out there. I will update, upgrade, whatever you want to call it. I will upgrade my my GitHub repo. All right. So let me go through it first, and then if you want to copy it down, you can. Okay. So one thing, the first thing here is, okay, it's books and it's edit employee. Okay. It's books and it's edit employee. And I put this in here I wanted to make sure stuff was getting passed. You don't need to put in that console log. But what we are doing here is we're copying over everything that the user added. All right. And then we're doing the query. Well, I've got word wrap turned on. So this is one line. Again, I'll give you time to look at all of it. All right. But it's update books. And you notice that each field is set to question mark. All 9 fields, including the ID. And then we create an array that has those 9 different fields in it. So whatever in the ID right there will go into that question mark. Whatever's in the title will go into that question mark, etc. All right. And I thought it would be kind of nice to put a message in there and let the user know that indeed their field had been updated. All right. Now, when I'm looking at mine, let's see. It says app up and running. All right. I thought that it was still running, that it would have put this in there, but let's see. I'm not sure exactly what happened when I did that. It looks like it was crashing. I don't know why. Oh, I've got throw error with an ER in there. That's not good. I'll have to go. You can see a record removed, but that's got to be fixed. Unhandled error event. There's ER in there instead of ERR. I will fix that. All right. But the point is this. We do all this stuff. Whether you put a message in here or not is up to you. But after you run it again, it's either going to error or it'll be the result. The result we want is to show us, again, our updated listing of books. Okay, so I will put this up here. So if you want to go through this, I'm trying to look, I just want to make sure. I think I've shown you everything that I had. We did this, and this, and this. We did our hello world, our regular index.ejs. We did our delete for the delete button. We did our create yesterday, and we did the delete yesterday too. and the create where we had the insert and we added things. All right. And now what's left is just this. That's it. So I will leave this up there, but the good news is when you look at this, you're going to have to key in this. All right. You're going to have to key in that. But when you look at what's here, all of this stuff up to right here, those 10 lines or whatever it is, that's the same thing that we had up here for your insert. So you can just copy them in if you want to do so and save yourself a little bit of time, which I think you'd want to do. All right. So I will give you a couple minutes to go in and start typing in this route for the edit employee, because I don't think we had that yesterday. All right. So it's 12:28, and I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes to put that in. John, I know you had asked, do we need to keep these projects, etc.? And that again is totally up to you. You're not turning this one in, but I tried to set this one up so you'd have something to use as a template for the actual test. Give you about one more minute. When the clock ticks over to 12:30, I'll move this down so you can see the rest of the routine. There it goes. So that's everything else. Can I have word wrap on here? Make sure you put that in right there, that stuff as one line. The rest of it won't matter as much. All right, but that you want to make sure you've got word wrap turned on if you want to be able to see all of it. So I'll give you a good 5 minutes to put this in. Then I'm going to go back over the test. All right, just to make sure everybody is clear on what we're supposed to do. And we'll be done today in about 10 minutes. All right, hopefully you've had a chance to put all of that in there. Now, I think I mentioned this to you before. I'm not sure if I did or not. So let me see if I can do a file, um, open file. I got to look for it, so but I'll find it. Well, I can't find it right now, but I will look for that employee example where I figured out a way to possibly go and do the equivalent of a patch as opposed to a put. And I will send that to you. I'll find it right after class today and I'll email it. The link, I'll attach that to the email I send out at the end of each class period with the URL for the presentation on it. So I'll do that. So the last thing I want to do then, John, sorry for you, and if you feel like taking off, that's up to you. But I want to, again, just spend a couple minutes going over what's going to be on the test to make sure everybody understands. All right. So read a new project called Movies that'll have the 4 pages shown. You see the points, and basically it's not, if it's not that if you just create a project and you have 4 pages on it, even if they're empty, you get 70 points. No. All right. It has to be set up the way we've set up our projects so far. So you should start with your NPM init. All right. You should go in and do your installs, and I've shown them a little later down on the page here. You should go in and you should create your pages. All right. So it's all going to be based on how professional the site is. And kind of in the middle of this page here, I put in the requirements. And did you follow those? All right. Here's the URL that I used. So again, when I've got genre equals sports, you probably could just change that URL. I don't know if I change that URL, you won't see this, but let me just come in here for just a second. And I'm going to change the genre from sport. I'm just going to type in there action. All right. Yeah, it's got the top 50 action movies. Now, if you're a Star Wars freak, I don't know how many Star Wars movies there've been. I have absolutely no idea. All right. But if there's been 20 to 25 and you want to use those, then use that. All right. But this is the one that I'm using for the one I'm doing. So you should create a new database under phpMyAdmin that's called films, and it should have one table in it that's called movies. In that one table that's called movies, you will go through this URL and pick out the fields that you think are relevant to what we're doing right here. That's what I mean by the relevant right there. This should be a real site. In other words, those 3 pages, as you can see right there, I don't want them to be filled with lipsum, lorem ipsum content. I want it to be real content. All right. I mean, you can grab stuff about movies. I'm sure you go out to the internet and find stuff. All right. So what you should be installing when you start are these 4 packages: EJS, MySQL, body parser, and path. In addition, even though I didn't put it on there, whether or not you install NodeMon, I can't tell anyway. So if you think you need it, then of course install NodeMon as a developer dependency. I want you to use Bootstrap 5 because then there is some responsiveness already built into it. All right. When you are creating your pages, as it says there, like we did in class, make a public folder that will have all of your static files in there. So your CSS, any client-side JavaScript, your image files that we've already talked about, those should all go in there. So you'll have to make sure that you use your app.use and app.set statements. You're set so you can set your views folder. You're set so you can set your view engine and your use, all right, so that you can tell it about using public for the static files and also for, any JSON you might want to put in there or the URL encoded stuff. All right. Your main page, either put some kind of a bigger type of image in there that would be the equivalent of like a Jumbotron. You could even use a Jumbotron and put the image in there if you want to do it that way. All right, if that's what you would decide you want to do. Or if you go out and you think to yourself, I'm going to grab up pictures of about 5, 6 or more really top sports movies or top action movies or top whatever, and you want to put those images in there, that's okay. But there also should be some text on the homepage, not just images. All right. And on your about page, that will probably be more textual in nature, but it should again be real text. The contact page, as it says here, should be an actual working form on there. It should go someplace. You can make it go out, add another page and call it something like verify.js, where all you have to do is just repeat that information. All right, something like that. All right. So again, the logic that you use, one of the reasons I decided to go over this books project was that you had something to use as, for lack of better words, a template for what you'd be working on now. I want you to, where you've got the page that's got all the movies on it, all the books on it currently, you've got each book and you've got the ID, the title, etc., all those 9 fields. Then to the right of that, you've got a delete button and an edit button. You should still have those because you should still be able to go in and add a new movie, or I'm sorry, edit an existing movie or delete an existing movie. Okay, you should still have that, but somewhere, not on each record, but somewhere near your main heading or something on the page, just put a button on there that says add movie or add new movie or something, and make sure that's wired up so that it allows the user to add a new movie. Okay. All right. Again, like I said, I'll find that thing for that employees database where we had that fix. I know that fix works to be able to use this more like a patch than a put. I know it works when you're running it on Postman. I'm not sure if it would work on a regular page or not, but I'll send it to you anyway. Finally, as it says here, these last 30 points will be judged on the quality of the site in accordance to everything that's up here. All right. So do either one of you have any questions on what I'm looking for you to do? Okay, so the rest of today, all tomorrow, and all Friday rather, will be labs for you to work on this. So I expect it to be professional looking. All right. And as I've already mentioned, then on Monday of next week, we will begin our foray into talking about MongoDB. So a few other things I want to talk about. I didn't have you on this one do more work with actually making a routes folder, etc. We're going to do that starting next week. I promise you we're going to do that. By the time you get done in here, your projects will totally follow the MVC or the model view controller architecture. Why? Because that's the right way to write things. All right. And my hope is that we'll spend, starting next week, approximately, and I'm not sure if this is going to be more or less than this, but somewhere approximately 2 weeks talking about MongoDB. I don't think we'll need any more time than that. If we need less, that's fine. Then we're going to jump into React and do the same thing and spend 1 to 2 weeks on React. Then we're going to start building a project together as a class. After we do that, all right, the way that the course is run is going to change just a little bit. And what I mean is, once we get into React, we're going to start by doing some real simple stuff with React, and then we'll do something more complex. But you will have a project in here that you are to do that's going to be something like either an e-commerce site or something like that that's going to be totally MERN. In other words, it's going to use MongoDB to hold all of your product data. It's going to use Express for the way we've been using it now. It's going to use React for your front end interface, and it'll use Node. All right. So that's, like I said, what we've got to, for lack of better words, to look forward to. If there are no other questions, that's what I had for today. I'll be online for the rest of the period. Any questions, feel free to email me, but I'm going to stop recording right now. All right. I'll talk to you then soon. Thanks.